Hello and welcome to this week's EZIRA Hangout number 14 on the 8th of July 2018. Welcome everybody, my name is Harrison McLean, your host for the EZIRA Hangout, and let's jump right into this week's project updates. But first, what is EZIRA? EZIRA is a protocol for blockchain social media with a decentralized exchange and a peer-to-peer marketplace. Users can make posts on boards, groups, or profiles and encrypt them to make them private. Businesses can create crypto assets to represent voting power and distribute revenue. Merchants can list products for sale and receive free and virtually instant payments from customers. Users earn rewards when they post valuable content, earn tips, and can charge micropayments to access premium content. Supernodes earn rewards for providing file storage through IPFS. The EZIRA protocol earns revenue by selling account memberships, post promotion, and charging trading fees. Every EZIRA interface can choose which content to display and how to sort it. The protocol itself has no censorship. Users can choose which identity to use for posting, whether it be their full profile information, their persona account, or anonymously. EZIRA users and applications that create accounts for new users earn an ongoing share of the revenue from those users when they engage with the network revenue mechanisms, such as purchasing a membership or purchasing post-promotion. Okay, so this week's project updates. The EZIRA Whitepaper has now been finalized. So the PDF for that whitepaper is now fixed and contains a few changes over the PDF or Word document that was released last week. And it has been edited by the EZIRA team, and that is now ready to be updated onto the EZIRA.io website. So that will be added right after this hangout. New additions to the whitepaper include the day stream, which is the model that EZIRA will be using to actually host ephemeral content on a blockchain, because those things are a little bit at odds, and the day stream post is the mechanism that EZIRA will use to enable people to earn content rewards from ephemeral content that is designed to be deleted, by having a single post act as essentially the baseline point for referencing all ephemeral content that is uploaded to each account. And I'll go into that a little bit more later. So the whitepaper has been shortened for faster understanding of the project because it was getting a little bit long, and it has now been shortened to, I believe, about 68 pages. The EZIRA team members have been added to the EZIRA website at ezira.io/team. There have been some new members added and some new advisors added. So the previous members of the EZIRA team have been displayed on the team page, along with the new members that have been added in recent weeks. The last update for this week is the EZIRA Credit bitshares asset. So those of you who are familiar with the whitepaper will have read that the EZIRA Credit asset is the asset that represents the debt of the EZIRA network and is repaid from incoming revenue. EZIRA.credit, all capital letters, is now available on bitshares. Each unit will be redeemed for 1 EZIRA credit upon the EZIRA mainnet launch, in the same way that EZIRA will be redeemed for mainnet EZIRA. So there is now the ability to access EZIRA credit at a discount when it is available on bitshares, and that will be included into the mainnet launch in the Genesis block. EZIRA credit earns an interest rate determined by the network witnesses in the EZIRA mainnet. The bitshares version of the asset will instead be receiving a fixed interest rate of 1% per month on all balances held above dust until mainnet release, and this is an alternative avenue for EZIRA project funding with debt rather than equity. A maximum of 1 million EZIRA credit will be offered before mainnet launch, and upon mainnet launch it will then be subject to to all of the electoral processes that are designed into the EZIRA credit mechanism. However, 1 million EZIRA credit will be issued prior, a maximum of 1 million rather, will be issued prior to the mainnet launch in order to offer an alternative funding avenue for the EZIRA project before the mainnet launch. So moving on to this week's changes to the white paper. So the white paper has been finalized and the PDF for that is now available, and what I'll do is post that into the chat here for you guys to take a read of before it is uploaded to EZIRA.io. Okay, so in the Discord Hangout is the EZIRA white paper, and you guys can take a read through that. It's mostly the same as the previous Hangout, but that is now finalized, and that will be the version that goes live to EZIRA.io for the foreseeable future. So the important changes that have been made are going to be discussed in this week's discussion topics section. But before that, we will go on to the team updates. So I'll take you all through the new EZIRA team page. Okay, so the updated EZIRA team page features the biographies of all of the main EZIRA team members at this time, and includes 3 of the most important contributors to the EZIRA project in the areas of marketing, business development, and especially project development in terms of the alpha and the beginnings of the EZIRA testnet. So you can check out EZIRA.io/team to read about the people who are building the EZIRA project, and I'll just leave that in the Discord. So that's a new change that includes all the details of the EZIRA team members and the EZIRA advisors. So some of these were previously on the team page, and some of them have been shuffled around a little bit. So you can check that out at EZIRA.io/team. Next up this week is the EZIRA discussion topics. So we'll move along to the EZIRA discussion topics. So the first topic we have for this week is going to be EZIRA day stream posts. So this is something that has been changed in the white paper and added in recently, because this is going to be the post mechanism by which EZIRA accounts can upload ephemeral content. So similar to the way you might use the story feature on established social media networks, the EZIRA day stream will be the equivalent, except that'll be completely decentralized and censorship resistant, unlike established social media networks. So they will be not subject to any censorship or any restrictions of the content that can be uploaded to those, and they will be able to earn EZIRA content rewards. So on Steam right now, all of the posts that are made are permanent and immutable, so they're impossible to delete once they're uploaded, because they'll be in the Steam blockchain. What EZIRA will do instead to allow ephemeral content to be uploaded and to earn rewards is allow each account to have one post object called its day stream, which is effectively acts like a regular post, except it is constantly updated to link to the new files that are included for ephemeral content. So when something is uploaded temporarily, it includes an additional decryption key that is only available for the fixed time period that is selected by its uploader. So each uploader chooses a supernode to act as their key distributor, or a group of supernodes to act as their key distributor for that time period, in order to ensure that that decryption key is only distributed for that time period, and that those supernodes are in fact required to delete it after that time period, so that those files become permanently inaccessible, even though their IPFS file is linked on the blockchain. It's encrypted, so it can't be decrypted by any future readers. So if you take a look through the EZIRA whitepaper, under the EZIRA post section, it describes the daystream part of the ephemeral content setup on the EZIRA project at this point. So next question, next discussion topic rather for this week is, what is the role of EZIRA credit? So for those of you who are familiar with the whitepaper, you'll know that EZIRA credit is the asset that is created by the EZIRA main account that receives an interest rate when it is held in order to act as a debt instrument for the EZIRA network as a whole. So that can be issued to fund projects, it can be used to fund development, it can be used to fund team members, operational costs and things like that. And instead of holding equity, what it does is it holds a fixed value in EZIRA dollars. So each EZIRA credit is equivalent in value to one EZIRA dollar from future EZIRA network revenue. And the way that this is maintained is by the revenue distribution mechanism purchasing and burning EZIRA credit from the decentralized exchange at a buy wall price of one EZIRA dollar per unit. And it has mechanisms in place to ensure that it is not issued excessively, in that it has to be approved by all members of the EZIRA main account, and it also has to be approved by the EZIRA community as a whole, to the order of 51% of the network supporting each issuance. It is also frozen in the case that its price falls below 90 EZIRA dollar cents. So no more can be issued if its price falls significantly below its face value. It is instead bought up out of all incoming network revenue if its price falls below $1, in order to repay the debt to the asset holders. The interest rate is also flexible and can be changed by the EZIRA network witnesses in order to offer a higher interest rate in times where the price may fall a little bit in the short term, to return its value to $1. So the role of EZIRA credit is to act as a debt instrument that can be used to fund EZIRA network projects and the EZIRA team without requiring any ongoing funding specifically from the blockchain. So instead of having things like the Zcash Foundation's reward, which is issued specifically to an account with no authorization from the users, this is issued with the authorization of the users in limited quantities, so it doesn't effectively drain the resources of the EZIRA network without equivalent authorization from the network. So it's a much more democratic and a much more reasonable way that the EZIRA team receives funding for its project. So the reason why this is important is because the EZIRA credit asset is now available on bitshares as a user-issued asset. So each unit of EZIRA credit is equivalent to one EZIRA credit on the EZIRA mainnet. So in the initial block, EZIRA credit will be issued according to the holders of the EZIRA credit asset. So what this does is it enables two different ways for people to actually gain exposure to the EZIRA network launch and actually earn a return from helping the EZIRA network to be developed. Because each EZIRA credit is being sold at a 10% discount on its face value. So its face value is $1 EZIRA, and each one is currently being sold for 90 bitUSD cents. So this is an instrument that delivers a discount when it is purchased, and effectively allows an interest rate to be earned by funding the project instead of having an exposure to the crypto equity that underlies the network. So this is an alternative way for people to take a position in the EZIRA network that does not expose them to volatility in terms of the price of the EZIRA crypto equity. And a maximum of 1 million units will be issued before the launch of the mainnet, and from that point forward on the mainnet it will only be issued with the support and voting support of 51% of the network. So that's the EZIRA Credit BitShares asset, which is an alternative avenue for people who would like to invest in the EZIRA network without being exposed to the crypto equity volatility, because this does have a face value upon redemption of $1 EZIRA from EZIRA network revenue. So this isn't as speculative as the EZIRA crypto equity, and allows the EZIRA project to raise funds based on debt at an interest rate that is fairly reasonable, instead of selling crypto equity from the EZIRA asset. So there are now two ways to contribute to the EZIRA project's development. The final topic for this week is some discussion that has been happening with the Ono social media platform. So there have been some comparisons drawn between EZIRA and Ono, and I'd just like to address some of the key differences between EZIRA and Ono. While the Ono project has gained significant traction on the EOS network, there are some key differentiating factors between the EZIRA project design and the Ono social media platform. So for a start, Ono is intended to be based on the EOS blockchain. So what this means is that it will be permanently subjected to the blockchain the blockchain authority of the block producers. So EOS block producers have demonstrated that they are willing to censor addresses, and that they are willing to embrace effectively arbitration organizations that have not had any on-chain authorization from the users, and they are willing to effectively censor accounts. They have shown that within the first couple of weeks of the chain. Additionally, EOS is suffering from some problems with RAM speculation that mean that it may be difficult to actually store information on this mechanism. So it doesn't actually allow the Ono platform to access free storage for users unless they lock up a large amount of EOS in order to grant that storage to their users and the access to their contracts. Some other points on Ono are that it does require and will always require a phone number in order to sign up. That's included into each user's account, so it requires a phone number, and what that means is that it will be incredibly difficult for people to be able to post on the network either anonymously or pseudonymously. So it is intended to be used by trusted identities that will expose your phone number to it'll expose your phone number to the network by design, which is a little bit of a security flaw in that respect, and it limits the amount of pseudonymous posting that can occur. So I'll be doing more research into the project, and those are the key takeaways I think that that point towards the direction of EZIRA, in that it is censorship resistant by design, and that is not able to be censored by block producers, because there will be no ability for block producers to censor addresses and to censor transactions. Because of the addition of the proof of work block once in every 12 blocks, even if a colluding group of block producers do decide to censor an account, the proof of work nodes will be able to include those transactions without needing to be elected into the block producer role. So those are some early preliminary points regarding EZIRA versus ONO, and I'd be happy to hear from the community if they have any other points of note that they would like to talk about specifically with ONO, because it does look like a fairly well developed project that is gathering steam, and it's up to the EZIRA team to make a good case for why the EZIRA project will be able to compete with this growing network. Additionally, ONO does not have any blockchain-based content rewards. It's going to be distributed through some other mechanism. More research needs to be conducted into exactly what the differences between these projects are. But the community is going to be able to judge for themselves exactly how they want to be engaging with blockchain social media. There will be more than one path forward, and the EZIRA path will be one of an immutable, censorship-resistant, open, global, borderless blockchain. And it will not make the same centralization concessions to the extent that EOS has made. So that's about the wrap on that. Additionally, EZIRA will have its own blockchain, so it won't be based on the EOS chain. It will not be based on a chain that shares. It won't share the chain with other applications. It'll have its own blockchain for applications to plug into, which ensures that it isn't dependent on publicly identified block producers. All EOS block producers have to be publicly identified, which makes things a little bit less secure against government level actors, essentially. So there'll be more on that next week when we know a little bit more about the ONO project, and there'll be a more comprehensive breakdown in the differences between the two. So that finishes up this week's discussion topics. But before that, I'll go to the EZIRA Hangout thread where there may have been some more topics posted.
Hey Harrison, I missed some of your comments there because I'm multitasking, but last night Fuzzy had Stella Bell from Ono on EOS Talks, and she went through a bunch of different things, so it may be worth listening to that. One thing that I do want to mention is that she said that they're just using the EOS blockchain code. They're not forking it at all, so
yeah.
It will be theirs. And then they also mentioned community leaders and a bunch of other stuff. Unfortunately, I have paid attention to her also, trying to do too many things.
So you're saying they'll be making their own chain, not just using the EOS public mainnet?
Correct.
Okay, that changes a lot of things. That definitely improves their stance. I'll have a look into that a lot more then. That makes a few of my arguments a little bit less valid then, doesn't it?
Yeah. Other thing that she mentioned was that there's like 335,000 registered users already, but I think that's only in China.
Yeah, so the other thing is, it's being geolocated or geo-centered in China, whereas EZIRA will not be starting in one particular region and locking the users into that, well, not having users only from a specific region at the start. It'll be global from the start. Yeah, thank you for your points there. More research does need to be done into this project, which is gaining considerable momentum. So we'll definitely have a look into the differences between the projects. Does anyone else have any other comments to bring up regarding ONO or any of the other topics that we discussed, including EZIRA credit, the changing EZIRA team, the daystream post object proposal in the white paper, or any of the other things that I've been talking about? Okay, so in that case, we will move along to the EZIRA Hangout thread, where there have been a few comments here, and mostly seems to be pretty typical Steam comments. I will get more information. One at the top, this seems really promising, I'd love to partake, great information. And online 87700 has said, EZIRA is again addition to social media website, however we have other social media websites like Facebook and Steam which are very popular. Hence it would take EZIRA to come up. What is your point? So the answer to that is, I think, what are the differences between EZIRA and Facebook and EZIRA and Steam? So EZIRA will be derived from the Steam blockchain code with some substantial improvements and run as its own blockchain. And the differences will be that it will have private posts, it will have a built-in IPFS network that is incentivized to store files, so that files are immutable and stored in a distributed network instead of on Steam, its central servers. And it will also, going forward, it would have storage mechanisms built in. It would have a decentralized exchange built in that allows the creation of user-issued assets that can be linked to business accounts for the distribution of on-chain revenue that is earned. And it will have an online marketplace for trading products using mediation systems that all exist, or all will exist on-chain. So there'll be no central third party involved between any of the trading of crypto assets or the trading of products, and the users will be able to choose which mediators that they use for those transactions. So the differences between Facebook and EZIRA are that obviously EZIRA will exist on a blockchain and will not be owned by a single private company, and it will not use massive amounts of private information to target advertising. Only publicly available blockchain information will be used to target advertising on EZIRA, and it will be operated by supernodes that have the user information that is private stored in an encrypted and sharded state, so that no one person has access to private information, and that no company is able to censor the posts. So we'll have no censorship, whereas Facebook routinely censors the posts of many accounts on a regular basis. So that's the main takeaway question that I can realistically address on this Hangout. So in that case, we'll head back to the Discord for the crowdfunding and auction guide. So this week we have the EZIRA Weekly Auction, which occurs once every week, and it allows everyone in the EZIRA community to purchase an allocation of EZIRA at a discounted rate for the first 2,500 bitUSD that is sent to the EZIRA account. So up to 5,000 EZIRA is distributed between bidders to the EZIRA address per week. The auction closes 1 hour after each EZIRA Hangout. The minimum price per EZIRA is 50 cents bitUSD for the first 2,500 bitUSD only. After that, the price is increased in order to limit it to 5,000 EZIRA. So you can purchase EZIRA below its current market price by sending bitshares or bitUSD to EZIRA, that's EZIRA, on bitshares. So in order to do that, all you do is you can go to exchange.ezira.io, where you can log into your bitshares account, and you can either participate by purchasing EZIRA directly from the marketplace, from the decentralized exchange rather, or you can access EZIRA at a discount by sending a bid to the EZIRA main account. And I'll show everyone watching how to do that in a moment. We'll just get the decks to load. There it is. So in order to send a bid to the EZIRA Weekly Auction, simply go to send any amount of bitshares that you choose to the EZIRA address. EZIRA is a lifetime member, that's EZIRA, and then send that, and from there all received bids will be distributed in the EZIRA asset 1 hour after the conclusion of this hangout. Alternatively, you can purchase EZIRA directly from the market by using bitUSD or bitshares by creating a limit order to purchase EZIRA, for example, at 85 cents for 15 EZIRA, for example. And you would then confirm the transaction, and the transaction has gone through there. You can also purchase it from the bitshares trading pair, where there is a little bit more liquidity. Currently trading at about 4.93 bitshares. You can also purchase it from the Ethereum pair, where it is currently trading at 190,000 Ethereum Satoshis, essentially, so 0.0019 Ethereum, or from the Bitcoin trading pair, or from the Steam trading pair, where it is currently 0.91 Steam. So that wraps up the crowdfunding and auction guide for this week. Hello, Emeka. Welcome to the EZIRA Hangout. So next up we will move along to the general discussion. But first we'll go to the EZIRA Credit Guide. So EZIRA Credit is the latest way for the EZIRA project to fund development using the acquisition of debt instead of EZIRA equity. So to contribute to the EZIRA project by lending EZIRA funds via EZIRA Credit, all an account needs to do is go to ezira.credit, trading pair on bitUSD. So I'll link that in the chat on Discord. So this is the new EZIRA Credit asset, and then an order can be placed to purchase EZIRA Credit at the desired price, currently at 90 cents bitUSD, and then the account will hold EZIRA Credit, and each EZIRA Credit will be redeemed for one equivalent EZIRA Credit on the mainnet launch of EZIRA, and each EZIRA Credit will be repurchased at its face value of $1 EZIRA out of incoming EZIRA network revenue from selling memberships and selling post promotions and trading fees of on the marketplace and on the decentralized exchange. So we'll move into the general discussion. Does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss in this week's EZIRA Hangout? So open questions about the EZIRA project, all the changes, EZIRA Credit asset, You can email me at harrison@ezira.io for any other queries, team role applications, proposals, or business matters. And you can join the EZIRA Telegram channel at www.t.me/EZIRA Network. Okay, so if no one has any questions for this week, we will wrap up this week's EZIRA Hangout. Thank you to everyone for tuning into this week's EZIRA Hangout, where we discuss the changes to the white paper that will be made available on EZIRA.io shortly after this Hangout. The EZIRA Weekly Auction will be closing 1 hour after the Hangout also, so you can send your bids of bitshares or bitUSD to the EZIRA account. That's EZIRA on bitshares. We will be finishing up this week's Hangout. My name is Harrison McLean. Thank you for tuning in, and good night.